There's a bit of an issue. Okay. I think I'm a little bit visible. I'm going to. I'm at work. I feel like I'm getting addicted to streaming, guys. Like every single chance I get, I want to try and stream, and I don't think that's healthy. But I do it for you guys. So it makes it all worth it. Um, I'm going. Should I wait for some few people to come on, or should I just proceed and they will find me along the way? Um, if you're watching this after I've finished streaming, right? The reason I ask these questions is because um, some people usually ask these type of questions after I've maybe spoken about those particular topics. That's why usually I ask myself if I should wait for people to come on or not before I start. But yeah, seeing that there's a couple of people coming on, let me start and get to the topic. So I don't think it's any surprise to anyone, especially if you clicked on the stream. I don't think it's any surprise to anyone that a lot of people, especially a lot of MMA fans, specifically UFC fans, have this thing of saying that Habib Nurmagomedov's legacy is basically cans, a lot of cans, and then basically I don't think there's no one who doesn't know what cans are, but basically the argument for a lot of MMA fans is that Habib Nurmagomedov did not fight a lot of top level fighters, so he does not necessarily deserve to be counted among the greatest fighters in history, of which I disagree with, but I'm going to try and be as impartial as possible. Obviously, I don't. If you've been following me, you should know that I'm a fan of Habib, but I'm going to try and be as impartial as possible in trying to figure this whole thing out. So their argument is basically that what Habib Nurmagomedov did was basically easy. Anyone can do that. So I have an issue with that because if what Habib Nurmagomedov did was easy, I think then a lot of people should replicate that because I think every fighter coming into the UFC has a dream and a goal of becoming a UFC champion. And if what Habib did in order to become a UFC champion was that easy, then I think all these people who are suggesting this should potentially be managers or open up training facilities and gyms if they feel like that path to what Habib achieved was not that special, right? Because Habib, I think the problem with a lot of people is that they compare him to people like John Jones. They compare him to people like George St. Pierre and all those type of fighters. My issue with comparing him to those type of fighters that how long did it take them to get a UFC title? Um, I didn't specifically check how long it took John Jones, but I know it didn't take him any more than 5 fights. I think John Jones had to. It was less than that. So how many fights did Habib have in the UFC? It's approximately. I think he had to fight at least. He was on a 13 fight win streak before he fought for the belt, if I'm not mistaken. And everyone is free. Obviously, this is a conversation. It's not me telling you guys anything. So if I'm wrong, you'll correct me. But I think it took 13 fights for Habib to get a title shot, right? And then he went on to defend it 3 times. And I remember saying something to this effect on my other streams that imagine if Habib had gotten a title shot within the first 3 fights that he got. Habib Nurmagomedov at this point would have over 13 title defenses. And obviously, I understand it's like Kamaru Usman, right? Their fights were not exciting, so maybe the UFC felt like, maybe let's see him tested against more opponents, or let's let him build his name by getting him into fights with a variety of people. But I can understand that if it was an isolated incident. People like the MMA guru, for example. I like the guy. He's been on this particular platform for a longer period than I have been. Only starting out now. I'm doing my year on like be building an MMA community and an MMA channel and prediction and all those type of things. But I've noticed that the MMA guru has a problem with specifically Dagestani fighters. I honestly don't understand why, but even in his predictions, you can clearly see the I don't want to call it hatred, but something that you can see in how he speaks about these people. If you look at, I remember when he was making a prediction for the Kobe fight, right? He was so excited about Kobe Covington, and he was like, "No, Kobe Covington is going to be incredible. He's going to wrestle him and take him to the ground and control him for the whole." Like he was excitedly talking like that, and then he went. Let me guess, you are a Muslim. um, I don't think that has anything to do with what I'm talking about specifically. I think, and what's your name? Miller, Zach Miller. Zach, we are having a conversation, right? If you don't agree with what I'm saying, I prefer for someone to have a conversation and dispute with facts by referencing something that you are basing your argument on, as opposed to saying, okay, this particular person and this particular person, so that's why they disagree with this particular issue. I'm just saying, and this is not an isolated thing. I think it's a common thing that people, especially people who follow, for example, the MMA guru, they know that he has a bias when it comes to Russian fighters. And even in general, when you look at people like Khamzat Chimaev, the kind of reception that he's getting, I mean, people are claiming that they hate him because he missed weight and he didn't feel sorry about it. But people like Davison Figueiredo, when he got his first title shot, it wasn't even just a normal main event. Davison Figueiredo was getting his first title shot, and he missed weight. And in his next fight, he got another title fight, right? But people don't hate Davison Figueiredo. Actually, there are people who actually love. Like there's a fandom of Davison Figueiredo. But Hamza Chimaev only missed weight once. And this is because the UFC gave him short notice in order to make weight for the main event. Because obviously, I think it's apparent to everyone. Everyone knows that Hamza Chimaev is a big guy. So in order for him to make 170, he needs a couple of months in order to gradually cut down to a specific weight in order to make sure that once he gets to fight week, it becomes a little bit easier for him to cut that weight, right? So the UFC did not give him that luxury. It was like a short notice thing. So that's essentially why he missed weight, but a lot of people don't really care about that. Similarly with Ankalaev. Ankalaev has gotten so much hate. I think he got redeemed a little bit after his fight with Johnny Walker. So I feel like I don't know. I don't know. Maybe you guys have some type of an idea as to why. I don't want to make any. Oh, these messages. I don't want to make any assumption as to why, but from that point, it feels like it's a specific group of people from a specific region that fans seemingly, I don't want to just say American fans because there are incredible American fans that I interact with on a day-to-day basis. But a large proportion of fans, like Kobe can fight the same way that Ankalaev fights, but well, Kobe's a bad example now because he performed horribly. But but before his performance against Leon Edwards, people were saying the same things about Kobe that Uncle Live does 10 times better. And when it was Uncle Live doing them, they were like, no, he's boring, he's all those type of things. And for some reason, when they were done by Kobe, they were impressive and incredible. Well, that's just up until like his recent performance, which was like terrible. So I just don't understand why people actually do that. I don't want to reduce it to a race thing because I don't know. I don't think it's just purely that, but I feel like it's crazy that a specific group of people who are dominant, for example, even Islam Makhachev, and for some reason, people refuse to accept that these fighters are being avoided. When you bring up the fact that these particular fighters are being avoided by specific fighters within their divisions, you'll be crazy, you'll be called a casual, you'll be called a couple of different names because you are saying basically that these fighters are being ducked, right? But it's not necessarily something that one particular person is saying. Even people like Dana White, people around and within the organization even say these things about people who were ducking Habib, people who were ducking Islam Makhachev, people who were ducking Khamzat Chimaev. Obviously now, with Khabib, it's because people overinflate, overinflate how good he was. His fans claim he is the GOAT when he did nothing impressive. His biggest wins were against Conor, who was out for 2 years, and RDA. Okay, I think I get that, right? I fully understand that, but as I was, that's what I was saying at the beginning of my stream, right? What I was saying is basically that um, Habib, it took Habib about 13 UFC fights in order to get a title shot. Whereas when you look at people like Alex Pereira, it took him, I don't know, I think about 3 fights to get a title shot. People like John Jones, it took a shorter period of time to get a title shot. People like who else got a quicker title shot? There are a couple of people that got to the title shot a little bit quicker than a lot of these Dagestani fighters. I don't know why, but specifically them. Look at Ankalaev. He's on, I don't know what streak, like it's probably 12 or something like that, unbeaten streak. Look at Bilal Muhammad. He's on a 9-fight win streak or something like that. Look at Islam Makhachev. Before he got a title shot, he was on a 10-fight win streak. Habib was on a 10-fight win streak. In the UFC, Khamzat Chimaev is now on a 7-fight win streak. But when you look at certain fighters, they don't have to wait that long, especially if you're on a streak. They don't have to wait that long. So the thing that I'm actually mentioning is the fact that they don't achieve all those things quickly. Hamza had to be a three-way champ. Now it's doubtful he wins a single title, especially after his performance against Usman. Um, okay, I'll get back to your argument, right? Let me just finish my thoughts. So what I was basically saying is that all these fighters, especially from Russia, Dagestan, or whatever that particular area of the world, for some reason they have to get lengthy win streaks before they get any title shot. Look at all of them. Look at Umar Nurmagomedov. Like he's on, I don't know, a lengthy in the UFC. I'm not even talking about his undefeated whatever streak or whatever the case is. I'm talking specifically about fights within the UFC. If you look at the amount of fights that he had to have, and you look at people like Alex Pereira who got a title shot within an extremely short period of time. What I was trying to say to answer your first question, Daryl, Derry, I think. I'm sorry if I'm messing up your name. What I was saying is, imagine if all these Dagestani fighters got the same opportunity to fight for the title within their first 3 fights. And let's say Habib. Habib is the one person who keeps being brought up to this particular conversation. Let's say they got that opportunity early in their career. where would they be now? By the time Habib retired, he would have probably defended his belt over 10 times. So that's my issue. And it's not like Habib, obviously he left in his prime, but a champion's prime ends at around 33. So he still didn't have that much time left. Similarly with Islam Makhachev, he doesn't have that much time left. If you want to leave on top, you have to leave before you get beaten. Look at Alexander Volkanovski. So it's a little bit challenging when people say that he hasn't beaten anyone. Sorry if there's a sound in the background. The phone is ringing. I'll get back to those people. So back to what you were saying about Khamzat Chimaev being hyped as a three-weight champion. I understand that he hasn't looked great, especially his cardio has not looked incredible. But the issue for me is that he won, even though it was a close decision, right? In both the Burns fight and the Usman fight. Number one, in the Usman fight, I think he looked incredible, but people are still refusing to accept that the fact that Khamzat Chimaev was slammed on the ground. Let me try and answer this phone. I'll come back. Hello. Hi. Good day. No, we have a contact. Okay, Moses. Okay. Okay, I think the files MVA have been transferred to other attorneys. Maybe they will be in touch with you, but it has an office. I don't know if he'll come to the office today, but it has an office. I'll tell him. I will. Okay. Zero, 07. Good. Okay. 36. Okay. Okay. Get offensive number one. Okay. Thanks. Bye. Um, I'm assuming a lot of you left. Yeah, as I was saying, to finish out, um, thank you to the one who stayed. Hopefully, some of them come back. So basically, let me finish my thought. Basically, what I was saying, it's that Khamzat Chimaev, people are neglecting the fact that Khamzat Chimaev actually broke his arm in the first round of the fight with Kamaru Usman, and he actually went for surgery. It's not like he's lying or anything like that. They reported on it and all those type of things. And despite the fact that he broke his arm, no one can dispute that that first round was impressive. Like no one had done that before to Kamaru Usman. Even with Leon, the first fight he was losing it, and then he got knocked out. Again, Usman got knocked out. But Leon was losing that fight. Kamaru Usman was dominating. The second fight was close. I don't think there's ever been anyone who dominated Kamaru Usman um, the way that what do you call him, the way that Khamzat Chimaev did. And after breaking his arm, he went on to actually win the fight. So I don't think we can judge him solely based on his that particular performance. I think maybe let's wait for his next performance and then we can make that judgment. Right? What's your next? I get that the judges gave Khamzat the win, but in my opinion, it should have been a draw. He definitely won the first round, and yeah, it makes sense that it was a 10-8, but Usman outstruck him in the second round and third round. For me, it's kind of difficult to call, right? The first round was a 10-8. The second round, I feel like it could have went either way, right? It could have also, his cardio issue was also shown in the Burns fight. Yeah, I don't disagree with anything that you're saying, right? But let's first speak about the Usman fight. The first round for Khamzat Chimaev was a 10-8, right? So and it was a 3 round fight. And then after that, I think the second round, I think it could have gone either way. Even if maybe Usman outstruck him, um, also remember that it's not just counted on strikes. There are various other elements that are considered when judging a fight. And on top of that, judges do not have access. I think that's the problem with how fans score fights. We score fights based on what we can see, which are strike counts. Judges do not have access to that. So when you look at a fight, do not take into consideration who has this many amount of strikes. If the judges had access to those particular strikes, then I think maybe it would have been understandable why you are saying it like that. But I don't think we should actually consider some of those things because the judges do not have access to that. So we can't really say that he was supposed to have, or rather, he won that particular fight because of outstriking. And like I said, sometimes you can land 100 strikes, but if the person that you are fighting lands 50 strikes and is somehow able to drop you, then the possibilities are they are going to get that round. So that's basically why I was saying that. I don't know if you left Daryl or not, but yeah, let me just conclude my thought. I just feel like there's this particular group of fighters from that particular region for some reason gets like a lot of flack, a lot of hate from fans. I don't understand why, because it's not their fault that they have to. These are just my opinions. I don't really hate any of these fighters. No, I understand. I'm not necessarily referring to you, Daryl. I'm just referring to the fact that there's a group of people, and I think you are aware of that, that do not like this particular group of fighters. And for me, it's like I've been saying all this time, is that I don't think it's their fault that they have to go on 10 fight win streaks before they get title shots. And by the time they get title shots, they only have maybe 5 fights maximum left in them because they've already had like 10, which makes it 15 fights in the UFC, and 10 of those, like 66% of those fights, were not for titles. So people like Ilya Tuporia were fortunate to get to that particular point so quickly. People like I've mentioned Alex Pereira, I've mentioned John Jones, I've mentioned a couple of people who got the opportunity to get to that point a little bit quicker than most people, and that's pretty nice. But for me personally, I don't really understand the hate when they have performed significantly well in the UFC. So I'll try to make sure that I want to go live a little bit more often, but I want to go live with something um, concrete. I want to do a little bit more research before I touch on specific topics. So regarding this one, I should have maybe collected information about different fighters, that how long on average it takes not a normal fighter to get a title shot within the UFC. But I remember there's this channel, MMA On Point, where they were calculating a fighter's age of decline. So in that particular video, I remember I need to watch that video again. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. It's an incredible video. So even on that video, they actually highlight how many people on average get the title shot and at what age specifically, based on the number of fights that have taken place over the past few years within the modern era. They don't count before the current rules were applied to the UFC. So go to the video, MMA on Point. I think it's an incredible video to watch. The Age of Decline or something like that. I'll see you on the next stream when I do my breakdowns. There's a couple of things that I'll be doing, MMA versus boxing, and a variety of things. If you're not, it's not only live streams, there are other things on the channel, especially shorts section. So yeah, I'll see you in the comment section. I reply to every comment. I appreciate every single person that stays online to communicate with me and talk to me. I enjoy doing these lives. Thank you for your time. Deuces.